All right. So most of you, I know most of your faces. There's a couple folks that I haven't chatted with. Cody, Bobby, I think. I don't know if we chatted too much. So thanks for joining. Today we are going to go over kind of transitioning from your personal marketplace, and for sake of reference, I'm going to refer to your personal marketplace on your personal profile just as marketplace, and then shops as shops, so that we keep those two terms. Often they get confused and stuff. So marketplace is on your personal marketplace, and then shops is which will kind of overlap a little bit of what we talked about last week, but shops is from your business side. So at this point, we're assuming now everybody's going to be at a different stage, right? We understand everybody that's on right now is at a different stage. We're also using this webinar for to be able to replay in the future. So at this point, for sake of discussion, we're assuming that you've made the decision to move to a stage in a shop, but you haven't really moved your items over yet. Maybe you've started to build your shop a little bit, or build your page a little bit, and start to grow some followers. Now, I understand, again, some of you are way beyond that, and that's fine. We actually want you to chime in here. And so kind of how to do that the right way so that you run into as few problems going forward. One of the benefits of shops is it's just another platform. It's another platform that you have more control of. It is also, a lot of the shops are also getting traffic from Marketplace. So not only are you getting traffic from the following that you built yourself and whatever ads that you decide or not decide to run, but a lot of shops are either have been or going to be approved to have those listings shown on Marketplace. So with that, before I kind of get started, a little bit of the housekeeping. There is a hand raise feature. So if you want to ask a question anytime, you don't have to wait for me to ask or stop, interrupt me, raise your hand, and I can see that too. So Lisa then will call on you. I want this to be more of a back and forth discussion than I can talk for an hour. So if you really want to listen to me talk nonstop for an hour straight, by all means, don't raise your hand, but I don't know how interesting that would be. So some of the pros and cons of opening a shop. So like I discussed, one of the pros is it's another platform. It's still within the Facebook infrastructure, but it's just another platform for you to be able to show your items. It's got a lot of enhanced features, and I meant to have it pulled up. I will start to pull it up here on my other screen. It's got a lot better reporting features. It's got a lot better order management features. You get a lot better insights on who's seeing your items. Let me see if I can do this here. So I'm going to put myself out there, and I have a shop that I went through a lot of trouble. And I'm going to talk about my story, my experience. I have a shop that went through a lot of trouble to get established. It boomed, and then it went back to basically zero. And now I'm starting to build it back up again, like I think what would be a more traditional way. I'm grateful for the traffic they sent me for a little while there, but it definitely was not a representation of probably what how a traditional shop would start. So you can see that there's just a bunch of different, and I'm not going to go into these, I'm not actually going to go into these at all. These are something that you can, easily learn about and whatnot. Let me see if I can get a better view here. Probably the last 28 days. I personally like the different, the discovery. It's telling you where your traffic is coming from. We don't get any of that insight on your personal marketplace. So that's definitely one of the pros. So I'm going to throw it out to the group. Anybody want to add any the positive or the pros that if you have a shop or if just something that you've thought of. Lisa, I'm going to call on you now.
You're going to call me? I think some of the pros of having a shop is that you're able to categorize things a lot better. I mean, I know that you're talking about some enhanced features and stuff on it, but some of that to me is you don't have to have your personal name on there. You're having a business name. Some of that stuff is just really, it just puts it as a business instead of just a singular person selling something. So I also like the idea of you can post it on both places. You can post it on your marketplace, the one that you're posting on right now, and you can also post it in your shop while you continue to create that following on your business page. It's like double dipping.
Cool. Anybody else have anything they want to add? All right. You want to hear me talk? Of course, everything comes with cons as well. So I'm not going to really go into too much of the glitches and all that kind of stuff that gets talked about. Those are important to understand, but for the sake of today, we're not going to really go down that route. One of the biggest ones is you're held to a higher standard. So with all the different features that you get, Facebook holds you to a business standard. Your metrics are a little tighter. You have to follow the ad policies a little bit tighter. I have several items that I have no problem getting approved on my personal marketplace, but then as soon as I list them on my shop, I get dinged because they violated some ad policy. You do have a reduced ability to communicate with the customer. So where on your marketplace, obviously you can message the customer, right? It's really easy, Facebook Messenger. You don't get that feature on shops. You have to use email, and we all know how folks respond to email. It just doesn't happen. So, and if you don't have marketplace enabled, and what I mean by that is one of the ways that my items are seen is in my, you guys can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Is of course you can see it on my shop, and you can also see it on marketplace. I'm fortunate that my shop did not get the red light like a lot of folks got this last end of the year. So they are still getting some traffic on marketplace. And of course, I don't have Instagram, so I don't have that connected. And I don't think I currently have any ads running. Maybe I do. I'm not sure.
I was going to say also, Marcus, on that, I have a shop that has the yellow dot, and it still sells in marketplace. So even though it's showing paused, it still sells, and it's marketplace traffic because I have followers, and I also have the marketplace enabled, but it's like not really enabled / it's enabled. So if you have the yellow dot, it could still be posting on marketplace versus otherwise. And then I also have another shop that's green, just like yours, that sells same.
So those are some of the downsides. I think if you start the way that we're kind of talking about, or you can find all these rules, you can find all these different ways to do it on and if I'm referring to over here, I have two screens, so I'm not weird. I'm not talking to somebody else. I talk with my hands. It's over here. A lot of these steps are found on Facebook documentation, but if you do it the right way and start it with a page and grow the page and then start slowly building your shop, you run into far fewer issues than if you try to circumvent that method. So kind of what's the next step? So that's all great and dandy. I want to open a shop. What do I do next? What are some tangible things? The big one is understanding the rules, understanding the different standards that you have to meet. I'm not going to go line by line. I found some of them. I think it's good to even refresh. Let me see if you guys can see that. Probably not very well. I think I can zoom in here. This is just the commerce eligibility requirements. They're gray on purpose. Everybody will have access to this with the links as well afterwards. So I think it's important to go in there and really understand what the requirements are. One of the big ones, and this is what hit me, and I'll talk about this in more detail, is number 4, demonstrate trustworthiness. Your Facebook account or page or Instagram professional account must have demonstrated trustworthiness through authentic established presence. This also includes maintaining, not just getting, but maintaining a sufficient follower base. One of the things I found I had to do, and this is what Facebook told me, because I was like, hey, why isn't my shop approved? Why isn't my shop approved? Is through support, they said, you're not an established account. Your business doesn't appear to be, trustworthy. So getting in there and reading through, you can see just on number 1, comply with our policies, all the other policies that are listed, and none of them are novels. They're all fairly straightforward. And but so often we see in our group, in the main group at least, is, hey, I'm having this and this problem. Does anybody know what's going on? And it's a pretty straightforward, hey, you violated this policy here. They're not gunning for you. You just didn't follow what they asked you to follow. It's their platform. So so I think that's really step number 1 before you decide to go all, either whether you're going to decide to run them concurrently, or some folks just decide to just go just shops and just focus on the business side and sell your old picnic table from your backyard on your personal marketplace. So that's kind of, I think, the route I'm looking to try to take, so that I can kind of step away a little bit from my personal side, but it also sells really well, so that's hard to step away from sometimes. So
Hey, Marcus, when you're talking about some of those commerce eligibility requirements, one of the things that you had mentioned was the ability to be able to, have a valid marketplace, something that's working, that they think is worthy of having marketplace enabled on your shop. So just to be clear, you can sell on your business page without actually having marketplace enabled. It is its own separate entity. So you don't have to rely on marketplace to still be able to sell on this platform. But on the 15th of every month, what we've found that they've implemented, I don't remember if you guys remember the show Ghostbusters, and they had the gatekeeper and the key master. Well, and I know that the reference isn't that I'm a Ghostbusters person. There's like some other book that was written that they talk about the gatekeeper. But the gatekeeper comes around on the 15th of every month, and they look at your business page and shop to see if you are eligible to continue to sell on marketplace. So when you're building this shop and you're getting that initial surge, that initial trustworthiness of business, you have to be able to maintain that. And that's what it's talking about in the eligibility requirements, and what Marcus was just saying. And anyway, I'll give it back to you. Sorry, I just got on a soapbox for a second.
No, and that's a really good point. Is much of what I talk about, or what we talk about, is trying to maintain that marketplace approval, because that's free traffic, right? But if you're doing both, right, if you're trying to maintain your marketplace approval, you're also doing the right things to build your page and build your business page and grow your own following. So I think that's great that you brought that up. You don't need to have marketplace approval to operate a shop and operate a business page, or operate a business page in a shop. It's just that's free traffic. that you can get, assuming that you have good items. So this is what she was talking about. I have 2 shops. I have not. This one is not selling yet. I haven't. I have it's kind of my experiment to start from ground zero. I have 0 followers. I have just the minimum amount of items. Poor SEO. I need to build up my SEO. But this one has this account health, where my other business page does not have this. I don't know. For one has the other, and it lines out right here what you need to do. The best practices is where it's important is monitor your account health. Make sure that you're setting clear expectations for shipping, so on and so forth. Collect good feedback. Keep your customers informed. When you do start to get sales, you'll start to get questions, and that's a big one. I think. I don't know. They put a lot of weight on that one because they really tell you that you need to go in there and answer these questions. People will ask questions, and they want a reply within a couple of days on those questions. I think it's a newer feature to be able to ask questions like that. So, great, perfect. Any questions so far on the policies? Again, we have links to these. I'm not going to go line by line, but anybody have anything to add to this?
Cheyenne? Cheyenne?
She's
You
muted.
might have to unmute yourself. Yep, go ahead.
Tell her to click at the bottom and not on this.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to ask, and this is a throwback to what Lisa was talking about earlier. I wanted to know did you say that you can continue a personal marketplace account and have a shop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I personally have that going on right now. I know Lisa has that going on right now, and a lot of other folks, because the business is kind of like how the business is considered, just how businesses are considered out away from Facebook, is you can have 2 people, you can have 100 people, as part of that organization as the business. It's a separate entity. Like Lisa is an admin on my business page. I could technically drop off my business page. All control goes over to her. She could continue then to she'd have to put it in her bank account, but she can then continue to operate my business page. But yes, absolutely. Short answer is yes. You can still do your personal marketplace, just like if I was to own a shop out in town, I could have a yard sale and I can sell from my brick and mortar shop.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very good. And I appreciate understanding that. You missed the first thing I said. This is Robbie Overman. I'm on my daughter's Google account. I apologize.
Hey, Robbie, how are you?
Okay.
I'm great.
We need to chat. I want to chat.
Well, Cheyenne, you look beautiful. Cheyenne?
Yeah, she looks better than me. So you'd prefer to look at her picture.
Well, your voice sounded super familiar. Yes, Tanya is next.
Yeah.
Is it
She's
Tanya or
muted.
Tanya?
There she is.
I'm sorry,
There you go.
I missed the first few minutes of the presentation. Do shops make sense if you're selling one-off, like just, single item product? And I sell estate sale finds and thrift store finds, so it's just one of an item. Does it make sense to have a shop to do that, or not?
I'll let Lisa talk to that, because I don't sell one-off items, so I wouldn't be able to give good insight in that. I wish Sean was here today. He could probably give some insight into that. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. But Lisa, why don't you take that?
I'm happy to. Is it Tanya or Tanya?
Tanya.
Tanya, okay. I also wish Sean was able to be here today. He has actually a store of just one-off. He has 20,000 viewers or 20,000 followers just on that shop. When he lists something, it's gone. Because he has created his own, personal infrastructure here. he said something interesting, you know, as far as like the platform. Facebook is a platform of people who have all gotten together. He has taken the time over this entire year to build a business page that is niched down so much that the only people that are there are people that want to see antiques and collectibles, which is what he sells. Of course, you don't have 15.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you do have 15 of something. I had 15 of the same doll and stuff like that. But to have a one-off, absolutely. What it does is it puts you on as a business instead of having it be Tanya Jacobson. It's whatever your business name is instead.
Right.
So, you know, and plus you're marketing to those people. One of the pros that we probably forgot to put on there in the beginning, and I know you were having trouble getting on in the beginning, and I apologize for that, is they have, oh, thank you. I just lost my whole train of thought. I'm so sorry. What was I saying, Marcus? You know, this happens to me every once in a while.
To having shops. One of the advantages to having shops.
Oh, that everybody that is on there wants to see your stuff, and it's in the feed. Your stuff is not in everybody's main feed on regular marketplace. However, if they follow you, then it is. If you'll notice on the groups that you follow, when you're scrolling your regular feed, if somebody posts something in there, it'll come up. It's the same with the business. And that's one of the pros of having a business page is when people follow you and you do post something on there, they're going to see that item. So if he's got over 20,000 people, that's how many people are seeing his item when he posts it. And they specifically just wanted to see antiques.
Right.
Anyway.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I think having a process, having a good posting process is important because you're going to be for me, I post 20 items and I can leave them up there because I drop ship. So I have basically unlimited quantity available to me. So I'm not having to spend as much time posting. So I think building a good process, and which is what we'll talk about next webinar, is kind of down in the weeds of how to do this. Having a good process is important because your posting frequency, your listing frequency is going to be so much higher when you're listing one-offs. But I think absolutely it from what everybody says, it works just as good for one-offs. Thank you, Tanya. I think Natasha had a question too, or comment.
I had a comment for Tanya.
Go ahead.
Why aren't you in your car?
I'm not in my car. I'm at home in my room. Tanya, I am nowhere near as established as Sean is. But guess what? I love my shop. I sold my high school prom dress, and I can assure you I did not get out of high school yesterday. I just sold it last night. But I have a lot of like what I call one and dones on my shop, and they go. So that's all I have about that.
Cool.
How many followers do you have, Natasha, on your shop?
I didn't mean to put my hand back up. I'm sorry. I think I only have 150 or 160. Because as I told you guys last week, when I put that one TikTok thing up, my followers increased by like 30 or 40 like in one day. But before that, I was like right at just like 100. So
that's great.
A lot of people start following me after they make their first purchase too. I noticed that.
Yeah.
But what's weird is I only have like 56 page likes. But like I said, I mean, then I still do also sell on the on my regular pay, like, you know, under the non-shop side too. So, but mainly just my shop. I love my shop.
Marketplace side. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That just goes to show everybody that you don't have to have 20 followers to be able to sell on your personal marketplace. Thank you.
Absolutely. Cool. So when you get into it and you start making a shop and you start thinking about it and you start to drop into the side of Facebook business, and Facebook business is a totally different ball game than your personal profile. Your personal profile is designed to be efficient and to be easy to work with. So just kind of understanding a little bit of the managers, the business managers, or the different Facebook managers that you have. And what I mean by manager is, so everybody, it kind of starts out with your personal profile, right? Then you have business manager. Underneath that business manager, you have business pages. Each of your business page can have a shop associated with it. And each of those shops can have different forms of checkout. You can have just Facebook checkout. You can use third-party applications. You can have it to where, Shopify is obviously the biggest one, but there's lots of others. You can have it to where just people message you, and that's it. So to buy something, they have to message you. So I think understanding the kind of hierarchy. Sorry for this graphic here. I had to make it because I couldn't find a graphic that really described it well. There's not any. I couldn't find it. I'm sure there's one out there, but so your business shops and your checkout and your orders are all kind of held within your commerce manager. I think I had a picture of my commerce manager up a little bit ago. It's nothing more than just another page that allows you to, whenever I'm on a webinar, it goes slow.
Cheyenne had her name. I know it's not Cheyenne. Oh my gosh.
Robbie.
Robbie, is it still up from before, Robbie?
Otherwise known as Cheyenne. Who birthed her? Robbie. Sorry, Marcus.
So,
go ahead. I just wanted to tell
I
you.
think that might be up from before. So this is just everything that's held within, and shops has the negative balance. I don't actually have a negative balance. I hope not anyways. This is everything to do with the commerce side of running a shop. So you can access your catalog, you can access your orders, you can go in your feedback. So understanding that hierarchy makes things a lot easier. I don't know how long it took for me to figure that out. I just was bouncing around. I didn't quite grasp how you have your business, you have yourself, you have your business manager, your pages, and then your shops associated with those pages. A good illustration here that I should have added was I could actually add, can you see my cursor? I don't think you can. If you imagine off to the left,
yes, I can.
I can actually add Lisa to this. So Lisa is part of my business manager, which means I've granted her, and then you can go in there and grant different access. I've granted her access to one of my business pages, one of my shops, and one of my checkout features. She doesn't have access to the other one, but I've chosen to just give her access to this one. The reason that we've done that, if you watch our other videos that we have about starting shops, is if my profile gets shut down for some reason, Lisa still has access to it. So she'll still have access. She's a backup access. They actually, in one of the setup features, they encourage you to have someone that has access to it. I liked having someone outside of my, it's not my wife. It's not, my brother. It's somebody outside of my sphere that I trust, because you have to trust that they're not going to go in there and boot you out. Don't get any ideas. It's not performing the greatest right now anyway, so it's on you. But
Yes.
but having someone else in there, and so you can grant that access. My assistant has access to only my business page and only my shop. She doesn't even have access to make like posts and comments on my business page. It's just to my commerce profile and only to one shop. She doesn't have access to the other one. So she can go in there, she can pull orders, customer information, fulfill orders. She cannot change my financial information. She can't even see it. She might be able to see like the last 4 digits of my bank account or something like that. Kind of what you would think about giving an assistant access. So understanding this, I think, is important to a Costal takeover. What's going on? She's playing in the chat.
Robbie has a question, by the way.
Sure. Yeah, Robbie, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't. I'm just technologically challenged.
Oh,
Lisa, you can take your hand down.
How do
well,
I
I
put it
acknowledge
down?
the challenge. Let me lower your hand for you
Okay.
then.
Thank you very much.
So, there are, I don't know the name of them, but there are a lot of folks that have got requests. And actually, if anybody has one of these, Derek's got his hand. So just a second, Derek. Hybrid, we've kind of started referring to them as hybrid shops. So you're on your personal marketplace and you'll get a notification that says, convert your shop over to, I don't even know exactly how it says it, to a business, transfer your ratings, transfer your items.
Transfer your listings to a shop, I think is what it says, something like that.
And we get that question from time to time, is this a good idea? Obviously, we're not Facebook. We can't tell you what's a good idea or not. But what we can tell you is we, as a group admins, and Sean as running his shop group and helping folks, we have seen very few of these that are not a train wreck. For lack of better words, I wish this was rolled out better, but we have not seen very many examples where this is operating efficiently and the transfer happens smoothly. The reason I have this up here, and I'm not going to go down this route very, very far, is if you get this offer in the marketplace, just know that you don't have to accept that offer. You can start the benefit is it transfers your listings. Hopefully it transfers them successfully. The con is it's just a lot of problems that we've heard about. The listing's not transferring well, your review's not transferring over. You still end up having to do it the manual way, which is what we're talking about. We haven't heard very many success stories of this. Derek, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I actually had a couple things. So first of all, I didn't hear you mention it, but if you're going to, you talked about the third-party payment processors and those kind of things on your shop. Just remember that if you want your items listed on Marketplace, you have to use Facebook as your payment processor, or else you won't get those views or that organic traffic from Marketplace. And then the other thing with the sell as a business on Marketplace, it does have a couple other advantages too when it comes to boosting posts and things like that. So if you have a normal shop and you list a listing, you can't boost that post like you would on Marketplace normally. If you have the sell as a business on Marketplace option, you can without having to go into the ad manager and all of those things. Now, again, I personally don't have that option, but talking to some other people that do, that's one of the benefits is you don't have to actually get into your ad manager. When you post a new listing, it'll give you an option to boost it just like it does on your personal marketplace.
One thing
that was really it, just those comments.
Do you mind if I
go ahead, Lisa? I'm going to pull up
really quick?
Go ahead. I'm going to pull something up here.
I appreciate what you said, Derek. And just so you, the people that are in the OSN, there's a video that we posted a while back ago when we first started it that talks about how to target a buyer or target buyers on the platform. That's phenomenal. And it really just, laser focuses down on who your buyer is, right down to people who have purchased and everything like that, and exactly how to do that so that you can get the best results when you do pay for a boost. So just so you know, it's on the OSN. Just have to look for it, and if you need help finding it, just let me know, and I'll tell you where it's at. But it is only on the OSN. It is not a public video.
For those of you that don't boost very often or don't have, haven't boosted very often, all boosting is a, for lack of better words, I can't think of a better way to, a dumbed down version of connecting your ad manager. So they just make it simple. They don't give you as many, I'm going to talk about ads a little bit, but I do not know very much about ads at all. That's a whole nother ballgame, but it gives you the option to run a basic ad. Ad Center actually on your page is, if you get in here and get into your Ad Center on your page, it is a very simplified, dumbed down, that's a better word, simplified version of creating ads without having to go through your ad manager. And Lisa brought up a really good point. So it is very simplified. And one of the biggest things that they kind of take away, or they make it look like they take away, if you're using a boost in your personal marketplace, or even in your ad center, is narrowing down your audience. But there is a way to be able to narrow down your audience and use that, because that's the big thing about ads, is targeting your audience. And the boost feature doesn't make that very easy to do. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and we'll make sure and link that later on how to do that. It's huge. I get so much more return on my ad spend just on my personal marketplace, because I can narrow down. One of the audiences is anybody that has used Facebook checkout anybody that has used Facebook Pay in the last 90 days. So what is that? That's our customers. If they're using Facebook checkout and Facebook Pay, wouldn't we want to narrow down to somebody that has the ability to use Facebook Pay if we're looking at Facebook checkout, not if you're looking at third party and all that. Another one is engaged shoppers. So engaged shoppers is anybody that has clicked on the shop now. When you see an ad and it says shop now, that's an engaged shopper. That's huge to be able to narrow down your audience like that, and just instead of just having it be the whole United States. So any questions up until this point? I'm going to kind of go a little faster because we're actually getting a lot of back and forth. So all right. So this is just kind of step by step. What's next? So you want to start concurrently. So we're assuming now that you're running your personal marketplace, and you're starting to think about shops. So to meet some of those requirements that we talked about in the beginning is to have an established presence. Part of that is just simply adding items, getting your items in there, even if they're, Facebook isn't going to look at to see if it's a quality item or not. Getting in there, getting used to adding items, filling out your items. It's suggested, when I went through it, it was suggested to have at least 6. Of course, you want to use, have a little bit more. Get 10 items in there, fill it. It's a little bit different than on your personal marketplace, but that's one of the things that they look at is, do you have items? They won't even start looking at approving your shop until you have 6 items in there anyways. So get some items in there. That's a pretty straightforward process, a little bit more cumbersome than on your personal marketplace, but not too bad. Tanya, that's why I said having a process when you start listing your one-off items is important, because it is more time consuming. There's more fields to fill out than there is on your personal marketplace. Doing it on a computer it's almost impossible to do it via phone. It's pretty difficult. You can do it, but it's not as easy.
If you don't mind, really quick, one thing I've noticed on a lot of questions is people put their listings in and they're not showing up in the feeds afterwards when they look at their shops. And one of the reasons why that is they're listing in a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will take your listing and put it on, even if sometimes if there's errors on it. You need to make sure that your photos are 500 by 500 pixels minimum when you put them up there. If you're doing them one at a time versus the spreadsheet, it'll cue you and say, hey, you're missing this, and it won't let you move forward. But if you're just uploading it on the spreadsheet, it's going to upload everything, and the stuff that doesn't work, it's there, but it's kind of kicked it out, so to speak. Tish has a question when you're ready, Marcus.
Go ahead, Tish.
I'm basically wondering, part of the time consuming of Marketplace is the delete, relist, no views, relist kind of functionality that you find to keep yourself in the top of the feed. Do you need to do that as well for your shop, or is it more like a brick and mortar business? It's on the shelf, it stays on the shelf, and it's good. You don't need to constantly play with it.
I'm gonna pitch that back to to the group if anybody has a good answer for that. I have my thoughts, but I don't know that I have a good answer. Like I don't know if anybody was going to have a solid answer for that. Does anybody have any insight on that? A little bit more concrete than what I might be able to.
Like Derek?
Yeah, so to answer that question, in my experience, there's not a delete and relist button or anything like that on your shop. Now, I have had items that have sold well on my personal marketplace that when I've listed on the shop, even with my marketplace enabled, haven't sold as well. And it's kind of hit or miss, but I've tried with those to actually delete the listing and then go back in. You have to add it back in manually. And it's been kind of hit or miss. Sometimes those items will grab some traction and will sell, and sometimes it still won't. So I don't know if that puts it back up on the top of the feed or how that rotation works in the algorithm with the shop listings. But I've had some success with it, and then other items not at all. So, but then the other thing I wanted to say as well was, and I don't know, Marcus, other than you and I don't know how many people in this meeting drop ship. But if you use a listing software like ZDrop or FBM Fox, they do have a button or an ability as well to list your items on your Facebook shop as well as your marketplace.
Yeah, and that's so there's several different ways that you can add items to your shop. There's the manual way. There is using a third party connects, and so you Shopify is kind of your hub, and that's and then there's using a Google spreadsheet. And I won't go too far into it. That's probably what next webinar is going to be, a little bit more down in the weeds and some of the more advanced features. I personally use a piece of software that does that. It connects to a Google spreadsheet. So for me to update my shop, I simply go in and I update a Google spreadsheet with quantities, prices, and everything, and then it pushes every hour. So kind of what we're talking about today is just getting started and getting some items listed. But it's pretty powerful. You can have thousands and thousands and thousands of items that you can manage through a spreadsheet. Pretty easy. I play a tech guy on TV, but I'm not an Excel guy. I'm not, it's really not that hard to get in there and start using the sheets. And it's pretty fun to be able to, Tish, I think it was that you asked, one way that I cheat a little bit, it's not really cheating, is I will take all my listings down. So I basically disconnect that sheet, and then I wait a little bit, and I'll go back in later that day and I'll reconnect it and update it, and all of those items are relisted again. And I noticed that on my feed, because I'm a follower of my own page, right? On my news feed, and I'm sure Lisa probably sees it too, when it's re-shown on my news feed again as if it's a new item showing. I don't know, your money may vary on that and how well that works, but I try to, I'll do that every so often. And it's when you're using a Google Sheet, it's really easy to do that. You're not having to go in and manually do it. It does take a little bit of understanding how that works and some trial and error. So.
Right, and your stuff doesn't show up right away on shops into marketplace if it's enabled. It takes a second because it has to get approved. Each item, when you take it off and then you put it back in. So when he's putting his spreadsheet back up online, every item is being re-approved in the system. Yeah. One trick that I do know is on your spreadsheet, if you're doing a spreadsheet upload like what he's talking about, or even if you're taking an item off and immediately putting it back on, if you change the SKU number on it, then it detects it as a new listing instead. Otherwise, it might be just like, oh, this is another duplicate. So,
or yeah, it's just updating. Yeah.
Right. And I kind of think Tish's way of asking about the brick and mortar, if you just stick it on the shelf, I guess going and doing some updates is dusting it off and getting it ready for the new customers to make it look new.
And changing the price. If it's not selling, maybe you need to lower the price, maybe you need to raise the price, and it's really easy to do strike prices. So, the normal price is $29.99, but I'm selling it for $21.99. And that's really easy to show on shops compared to marketplace where you've got to manipulate the promotion field and all that.
Right.
So.
And shops, you can do coupons too. You can send out coupons to customers.
Some folks do. I don't have that option. I don't have that on my
okay.
shop to be able to do it. So my experience a little bit is what happened. I got early access to start a shop. I had a page. I started a page. I deleted that page. I had a huge ad credit that I'm even embarrassed that they gave me to get it started. I don't even like talking about it. It makes me sick. I deleted that page that the ad credit was applied to, and I lost that credit. So I had a bunch of back and forth, and I finally said, okay, I'm just going to stick with one page, one shop. I'm going to try to grow this, and it wasn't getting approved. It wasn't getting approved. So I kept emailing, and I kept getting responses back saying that you're not that number 4. I wasn't trustworthy enough. So what I did to get my page to a following level that I felt comfortable with and that they would approve was I'll go over some of the steps that I did. But man, I made a bunch of mistakes. I $2,500 of ad credit I had to be able to, yeah, it's painful.
Now you know why he doesn't like to talk about it.
It was hard. Yeah. Anyways, so I narrowed it down. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I went through the process of getting approved. One of the things that helped get me followers was after every personal marketplace sale, I would, as soon as it showed as delivered, I would send them a message that said, that was basically checking in as, hey, just want to make sure your item arrived on time and was it to your satisfaction? Please give me a review if you're prompted to, and would you consider following my page? And so, I was getting 500, 600, 700 orders per month. So I was able to send that message without, it's not spam. I'm not spamming my folks. I'm just sending that out as I'm auditing my orders as they get delivered. And I was able to grow my followers quite a bit. And these are folks that are not just random folks. They're folks that bought something from me on Facebook Marketplace. That worked really, really well for me. I had it very easy. All I had to do was click a link and could go follow. I didn't ask them to do anything else. Cody, I think you had a question or comment.
Yeah, I was wondering, can you post the same item to both your personal marketplace and your shop with marketplace enabled? And then does that create 2 different listings for the same item?
Yes and yes. So you can have it. It's basically as if 2 different people are listing the same things. As a drop shipper, there's a lot of items that I sell that other people sell as well. One is from me, Marcus Silva. One is from Mark's Mercantile. Exactly the same information, same pricing. I play around with the pricing sometimes. Just to see what one gave traction. So yes, short answer to your questions is yes and yes.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy.
Yeah, one thing I was wondering about as we're talking about you're doing things post delivery, one thing that kind of drives me a little nuts in Marketplace is that when I'm trying to look at the shipping orders, it'll just say in transit and maybe delivered, but I was just wondering if they have additional support where you can sort of really see maybe a little bit more information regarding the shipping process. I also noticed that they've updated it so that once it's delivered, it tells you who the carrier was. It's like, well, I would really like to know that from the get-go, and then, it just seems like it's just tedious to get in there and try to figure it out. I know people have asked, could you please put the little thumbnail with it, to make it easier. I can't remember if that's on sales or shipping or whatever. People have asked for that to be an added feature that, just something simple, just so they can glance at it and they know what item they're talking about.
Sure. So my process is, one, I have an assistant, so that makes it easier. I'll throw that out there. But then on my spreadsheet, I have a link to the Facebook order information. So that'll then it'll show if it's delivered or not. And if I think that that's wrong, then I have a link to, no, I don't have a link yet. It's something I need to build. But 95% of my stuff ships USPS, so I'll just manually check it on USPS's website. I won't send this message until I've audited it and it shows as delivered. So I hope that it's built into my own record keeping on my end. It's nothing to do with Facebook. Good question. That's a process. If you don't, I'd be happy to do another webinar or whatever on I'm probably overly complicated. I make it overly complicated for other folks to use, but having a good spread with those clickable links, having a link that you can click to go directly to that order information. Once I learned that, I give Lisa credit, even though she didn't give it to me. I don't know who gave it to me. You got to take credit for it now, though. That link has saved me and my assistant a ton of time trying to find. It's just a link that takes you straight to the order information. So you can click it and boom, you're right there. You can see and then you have the link to be able to message the person. And then if you have this message built into your clipboard, you can send it, and it's just a couple of clicks. So that was one step. I also ran a very low cost. I think I did $2 to $3 a day ad for traffic. I narrowed it down by engaged shoppers. Oh yeah, this is where I forgot I added this in here. I did an engagement ad for my page. So, and I narrowed it down by engaged shoppers and how to engage shoppers and Facebook payments. And I just let that run. One of the things with boosting versus ads is these ads are learning. They use AI to learn who these ads apply to. And from everything that I've been told and read, even when I did I did a 30-minute 2-session thing with the ad folks at Facebook. They give you a free consultation. Is they're designed to run for 7 days. So at a minimum, that's when they start actually performing well and learning, unless you really know how to narrow it down or have prior data. So I let the ad run, and I would get it. It said here 6 to 23 likes, and it actually performed about that well. I would get anywhere between 10 to 15, sometimes 20 likes a day, just because it's a non-committed ad. All you really got to do is hit that like button. If you liked the picture that I had and you like my little description of a general store, you click like. It's not asking a whole lot. So that worked pretty well, and that got my following base up to something that I felt. And what I did was I kept asking for approval. And as soon as I got the shop approved, marketplace was approved, my sales just exploded. I had 3 weeks worth of sales that I could barely even keep up with. I don't think that's typical for folks, but that was how I got my page from nothing to 500-600 followers and an approved shop, approved marketplaces. It was not an overnight process. I wasn't able to just start it overnight and have it work. It took, it took a couple months to get it approved. I think they get approved a little faster now. This was quite a while ago. So anyways, that's my story. That's my take on kind of transitioning from just having your personal marketplace to then having a business and operating both concurrently. I'm glad it was asked a couple of times. Yes, you can absolutely run both of them at the same time. It takes a little bit more organizational skills. You got to get in there, because shops, you don't get a notification when you get an order. You get an email. So you need to go in and check it on your own and things like that. But that's all just comes with the territory. So that's it. That's all I had in a nutshell. We've gone almost an hour, but I can go a little bit longer if whoever wants to stick around, and hopefully you guys have some questions or something.
Well, does anybody have any questions that you might have regarding shops and the process of transitioning? Because he has up here, if you go back one more slide, Marcus, this is the 4-part series that we did that takes you from start to finish on how to build a shop. Now, when he was talking about, that traffic that he got in the beginning, we understand because we know many people with shops, and they get that initial surge of business when they get approved, and then it dies off. Well, it's because you have to keep up. You have to keep up with talking to your people, building your audience, having that communication. And just like, in our marketplace groups, our big group and the OSN network, in order to keep people engaged and on our side, we have to always be adding content, creating things that keep people's interest. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes, it ends up being negative. But all of that stuff creates that traffic to earn the right to be on marketplace. So in my opinion, as you transition, I wouldn't give up on your personal marketplace and just go cold turkey. You can, but I wouldn't shoot yourself in the foot on that. I would establish the shop and get it running and going so that it's reliable for you before you dump your personal marketplace altogether. And that's just my opinion on that.
And another thing, and you'll see this in a lot of the groups, especially in the drop shipping groups, is, and I've seen it in other YouTube videos and stuff, is that you have a page that is basically just nothing. And that's, I think, where, and this is probably some of the experience that I have, is I don't put as much content out there as I need to. I'm definitely following our challenge this month and putting more content out. Is it did work when they first initiated shops and got it really rolled it out to everybody. You could have a shell of a page. So you could have, basically just a shell of a page with basic information, upload a bunch of your items, and they would start selling. That doesn't work anymore. You got to have that page that has engagement. It has content that you put out. And so there's tools to be able to do that. There's the Creative Studio is great. If you get in the Creative Studio, you can schedule out all of your content. And Lisa's done a phenomenal job on making content on how to do this. So it's automated. You can go in there and schedule your post. eBay's the same way. I don't know about, Mercari and Parchment. They want to see that their users are active. So on eBay, you could post up 15 items and be done. And if you don't keep posting those 15 items, then you might sell one or two here. I don't really know eBay that well. I watch a couple of guys that really do eBay. They want to see that their users are active, engaged with their customers. They're following them. They're consistent. That you're consistently, if you're selling something, you're putting new stuff up. That you're a valuable member of their community, not just trying to take advantage of a low-cost platform.
Hey, Marcus.
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
With what you were talking about, as far as like where Facebook was and where they're at now, as far as just being able to put stuff up with the shell and being able to do those things. On Sunday, we posted a video that I interviewed with Nancy, and Nancy's our resident techie that knows everything on how the back end. Nancy, can you just kind of repeat really quick on how these platforms are built so that people understand how this is all working for us? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not 100%, but
about what it's called and how they add features and everything to
Agile. It's a software development methodology. It's called Agile. Basically, if you're an old person like myself, sorry, like I can actually have a face. Wow, there I am. So if you're an older person like myself who did software development, it was the waterfall, right? And so you would do these huge plans, and it would go through all these major phases, and then you would just roll out, go boom, and it would be a major announcement. We've done, release 2, release 3, and all this type of thing. And there was major things, and there was something in almost every part of the software, because you had some users that didn't, they use this part, but they didn't use that part. So if you had to, but some of them would be more major and all that. Okay, so now what they do is it's called Agile, and what that is it's doing smaller pieces. A lot of times you've heard it like they only let certain users have it because they're sort of testing it out. That's part of Agile too. It's partly to keep you coming back for it more, like, oh, they've added more, and they've fixed things, but they've also added things. I think Lisa and I were talking about on Sunday that both of us all of a sudden got, whoa, we got the dashboard. We finally got the seller dashboard. And wow, this is kind of neat. And that's kind of neat. And then Lisa's like, well, I have these reports and I don't have the reports. So, it's coming, but that's what they do. They do small parts, and sometimes they'll have actually code going on, but it's like shut down. So they're actually releasing new code, but it's not being exposed because it maybe is a little bit bigger. Because a lot of times Agile is a 2-week cycle. And that's why you're like, I'm getting another Facebook app update. Yeah, because that's what they do. They keep rolling it out and keep adding things here and there. And then occasionally you'll see something pretty big, something pretty major. I know Amazon just recently totally redid their UI on their app, and they were touting all that. But anyhow, that's what it's called. It's called Agile. They do little bits here and there, and unfortunately, sometimes I do a little bit, and then some of us are like going, wow, this has got bugs in it. Well, okay, that happens too, so variance is something that we were all just discussing recently. It's buggy. And they haven't had time to come back around to it probably, or to try to address it, or they're still, they are working at it. And so it's a balance, but that's kind of what they do. Or because I know some of folks are like going, wow, this is great, but if it did this, well, there's a good chance that the additional this is in plan, but it hasn't hit the cycles yet. So
right. So we just have to be patient as they continue to add and everything like that. Thank you for explaining that.
The what ifs and the wish we had is really a funny phenomenon, because you have 100 people that think of ideas to add something, right? So Facebook has a team of 100 people or 1,000 people, whatever, and they think they've thought of everything. They think they've got it all, and then they roll out to 50,000, and they get 100 different. Well, can you add this? Why doesn't it do this way?
Yeah.
And so it's
well, and like you said, what shop owners want. Folks that are using the shop feature have their things. What folks that are doing marketplace personal have their things. Big companies like you see out there. I mean, I see Kohl's and Amazon running around on Facebook. These are the big they're paying a lot of money for those ads. Well, they've got things they want. So it's a balance. And then I remember reading an article. They were comparing the market value of Facebook and AT&T were about the same at 2 different points in time. AT&T had 500,000 employees and Facebook had 5,000. 5,000.
Yeah, it's huge. Cool. Anybody else have anything that you want to add? Comments, questions, gripes, complaints?
Tanya did.
Yeah,
so.
this is slightly off topic.
Sure.
So they have a feature I'm only on Marketplace, and they have a feature that when you look under your sales that says create a 2021 report. Why is it just spinning?
Have you tried again recently? Because people have recently said all of a sudden it has started working again. Lisa, didn't you just finally get yours to work like last week? You're muted.
We can't hear.
She might have. Is she muted?
Yeah, she is muted.
Yeah.
You guys don't speak lips? Mine is, I muted myself because I heard an echo. I apologize. Anyway, but mine worked from the beginning, and I got my entire year. But there are people that are getting half, none, just spinning, not spinning. So you just gotta let it finish. It's rolling out. It's happening. But go ahead, Tish.
I get Tanya. So it says download 2021. When it clicks, I get 2020, and it's blank. So yeah, definitely a known amongst us. Hopefully, Facebook knows as well. Issue as far as getting your
the 2020 downloaded great last year, but then 2021 just seems to be stuck in a wheel.
Yeah.
I don't
haven't
think
had-
I got my 2020 until March or April.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean,
Is there
I
a
mean,
transcript for what you went over today with links and things like that? If I want to reference
Yes.
some of the links.
So we will have available the PowerPoint, and that'll have hyperlinks in it for the
Okay.
ones that have hyperlinks. And then Lisa has been, as we're talking, she's been adding some of the links that we've referenced in the chat. And so that'll be when you put those in the YouTube notes, right? I'm not sure exactly how you do that post.
How do we
I'll put
access
it up on the video, and you'll get a link to the video. The video only stays on the OSN network, but
And is that
yeah.
something we need to subscribe to, the OSN network? Is that a
The OSN is subscribed, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right,
Well,
great.
Okay,
Tish had
and
a
Tommy, if you have a question versus the being subscribed for the monthly versus just the webinar, we'd more than happy to chat with you how to get that info.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah. Any other questions?
Tish.
Cool. Tish? Oh.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I too get the 2021 report that is 2020 blank. But again, I'm just going to wait for it.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of just touch base real quick on. I wanted to thank you first off for doing this because I feel like I'm the smaller end of the scale, and hearing all the effort that is going to be put into it, and it's not more of like I feel like eBay. I don't do nearly as much hand holding to get my sales. My sales are less, but they are typically higher value, and the work put into it to me is a little better for eBay. But I enjoy Marketplace, and I enjoy the multitude of that I get off of Marketplace. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for putting this together, but I'm probably not going to join you for 2 and 3 because I feel like I'm not a big enough player, because I'm not going to have another software to integrate with it. I'm sure the heck not going to have someone else help me. But I just want to thank you so much because it was so enlightening and what I don't want to step through, and I so appreciate that.
So
You're welcome. This is number
Sure.
2, and we'll have one more for 3. So you're good. You already went to 1 and 2, Tish.
and we may have made it, I may have made it, and that it is more than it is. It's just another, Tish, I know I'm trying to recall watching your video, what you do. Remind me your kind of what you
Auction.
do.
I
Auctions.
buy at auctions and then sell. So I can sell one-off antiques, or right now I have bulk clothing out my so I can
Sure,
have
sure.
and I prefer honestly to have something that I tweak nightly for just an hour, like a half hour or so. Like my eBay store, I go on, I send offers to people, I play with my promotions, and then I'm done.
Sure.
I don't typically relist everything because every 30 days it's automatically a relist. And
Sure. Yeah.
so I was hoping, knock on wood, shops was more of a brick and mortar style where you just tweak it, you dust it off the shelf, you make it look pretty, but I don't need to delete and relist and delete and relist.
I think if you had a page, a business page that had a sufficient following, and you might, I don't know where you're at, if you have that now, or if you run a business page or not, or you could grow that, kind of long term, not necessarily doing it today, but you might find that it would the time pay off, because eventually there are ways to integrate eBay to export your information, export what you have. All of my listings are from eBay. I drop ship from eBay. So I find items that are undervalued, that have a high intrinsic value, but a low monetary cost, and I relist them. So that's my model. So if you have good items, let me know. I can relist them for you on my side. I don't ask for any discounts, but unless I sell a lot, then I come and ask for a discount. Anyways, there might be a way that you could integrate that to where you make adjustments on one and it adjusts both, because that's the dynamic spreadsheet that you can do that integrates into shops to where you have one truth. Shopify works really well for this for folks that use Shopify. Shopify is the hub. eBay's a spoke. Shop is a spoke. Personal Marketplace is a spoke. Mercari is a spoke. and you use Shopify as a hub. I'm not saying to necessarily use Shopify, but that's, maybe something to consider down the road. I don't want you to write it off 100% yet.
Thank you.
Yeah, and shops isn't always for everyone, but it's also about creating your own defined market of followers. And so when you're hooked up to Marketplace, you're putting your listings out there and it's going through the feeds and everything like that. When you create a following, like what Sean's done, 500, or Natasha, she's got 500 followers, and 150 followers. I've got about 600 followers on one of my pages, and people start to follow what you're doing. They start interacting with you. They start looking for what it is that you have. And where you have auctions, where you go to auctions and resell and stuff, and people, if they know that, like, oh, I'm gonna follow her. It's, in my opinion, a better follow on a business page than it is on a regular marketplace. You can always send people over to your business page, like we talked about last week, as a following, and then just post those over to there, and that works too. And I know we're going longer, guys, so we are done. If you're done, you don't have to feel obligated to stay, but you guys are asking like just really great questions.
Yeah, and I got a few minutes, so we're good. So, that might be it. Anybody else have anything? Nate, is Nate there? I know he's there. I don't know if he's there or not. I was chatting with him this morning. He's been quiet. I'll bug him later. All right. Well, maybe that's a sign to call it a day. All right. All of this will be available. It takes Lisa a little while. It takes a while for the video to process and all that, but it'll all be available on OSN. And if you purchased just this webinar, we will work with you to make sure that you have access to it as well. So, all right.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.